Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime, here at my next Steven Universe episode reviews. This is going to be for Season 5, Episode 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. This is the most recent, what they call them, Steven Bomb's worth of episodes. And yeah, the show's been gone a pretty long time, especially for like a mid-season hiatus, like 4 episodes into Season 5, like, what's it, like 6-month break. And then we're back here. Hopefully they're more regular with the episodes and potentially, we get the rest of the season without waiting too long. Overall with these 6 episodes, I thought they were like okay. I think the last episode kind of saved this group of episodes because while there were good moments throughout the episodes, I think overall it again just highlighted this show's problems in the writing department, in the pacing department, tonally at times as well, that it's just a bit all over the place and they don't seem to really know what to do, when to do it, and it seems like they make the wrong decision a lot of the times with these type of things. In that, I was really positive, if I remember correctly, about the first 4 episodes and where they were going, and I was like, they just need to build on this and make it good, and they didn't really do that. They immediately kind of jumped right back into kind of just Beach City, minor character focused stuff, while having the main plot point for this group of episodes be that Steven and Connie aren't talking to each other and have, quote unquote, broken up for this group of episodes. And it wasn't a particularly good plot, in my opinion, because all it really accomplishes is that, Connie walks off, annoyed at Steven. Steven doesn't really know the full reasons for why that is the case, and then just kind of mopes around for like 5 episodes, not really knowing what to do, and then at the very end you kind of actually have them talk and accomplish something which could have been solved in the first episode, because there's no actual development from like here to here. It's just a gap of time where they're not together, and it doesn't really accomplish anything really. And then what they actually say in the final scene with each other is good. I think it was probably one of the best scenes from this group of episodes in terms of what they talked about, but it still was fundamentally just, we were both wrong. We're back, friends the way things were before. Maybe they both kind of grew up a little bit being away from each other, but it really wasn't a particularly well done arc for the most part. But I did appreciate actually good use of Kevin, who was a kind of pretty hated character before, in that I kind of liked what they did here, in that you kind of saw this different side of Kevin where he's just kind of like, okay, he still portrays the whole like kind of arrogant side, rich guy who wants to just impress everyone, but I think he honestly just saw a problem. Admittedly, it was for kind of like, I suppose, greedy reasons, just wanting Stevonnie. But I like how he kind of ultimately did try to help Steven, and I suppose Connie to a degree, kind of just get back together. And it sort of worked in a way to kind of bring them to talk with each other. It maybe spoke, I suppose, to his poor approach in his own life, because they obviously hint at like some sort of a bad breakup for him in the past. But his mistakes and what he kind of asks Steven to do end up more or less kind of causing the talk between Steven and Connie, even if their usual approach of just being kind of emotionally honest with each other ends up being how they resolve it in the end. But yeah, apart from it just being your kind of typical Steven Universe, emotional, good scene, wholesome scene, there's not a lot to really say, because it is just like teen drama, basically. I liked it to a degree because it kind of, to me, helped to sort of move Steven and Connie's relationship from being like just this weird thing where like you're not really sure if they're like a couple as such, but this episode sort of makes it clearer that like they kind of do to some degree kind of see each other in that way. It's always this weird dynamic with trying to do a relationship with kind of fairly young characters and how much you actually want to do versus not. But I appreciated them kind of, in a way, treating them kind of like teenagers in this situation and kind of just having a bit of like angst kind of over the thing. So hopefully their relationship will kind of improve and kind of go more places going forward. Connie, I don't know if like the redesign for Connie of like the new hairstyle is going to be like a thing going forward, or that was just kind of like her party hairstyle. But it was a nice little redesign for the character, and yeah, just line was with Connie like the entire time, which I thought was interesting. It obviously it served the main purpose of kind of take away the transportation to Lars away from the main characters for a while. But yeah, that's that kind of main stuff. Like, going back to the first episode, the stuff with the mayor, obviously it's meant to just be like reaction and like stuff has actually happened from based on what happened like at the end of last season going into this season, that Steven's actions have had a result and that there's now a new mayor. It didn't really do anything for me though, that episode, because I don't really care or know all that much about the mayor character, because it's obviously been so long since we've had any sort of a focus on him as a character. The new mayor again is kind of like, okay, that character, fine. And just little things throughout like that are just like, what are we really trying to do here? The Peridot Lapis stuff I think was probably like the second best episode for me, in that it approached really trying to have character development of just showing like how close Peridot and Lapis are, and Lapis's kind of, I suppose, old memories from the past kind of coming up in this new situation of she doesn't want to be involved in the war again, so she's just ready to pack up and leave to get away from it, whereas Peridot actually has this really strong connection to Earth and their home that they have there and doesn't want to leave. And I thought it was a pretty interesting approach of dealing with this idea of, in a way, Lapis kind of being like the stronger personality in a way within that relationship of like Peridot is kind of constantly trying to like appease Lapis and like make sure that Lapis doesn't get upset about anything, and it kind of means that Peridot always has to be the one to kind of just agree to things just to make her happy. Whereas I like that it was actually this moment for standing up and being like, Pumpkin doesn't want to come and I also don't want to go either. Why don't we stay here? If you really care about this place and us living here, why don't you stand and fight with us? I think we can win. So it's obviously setting up, I think, to some degree, Lapis will probably have maybe an episode to herself, or she'll come back at like an important time and actually side with them. It's just continuing the usual kind of thing of like Lapis being kind of, not really communicating her like strong, true feelings at like these key moments, and that obviously something is going to need to happen with her character before she joins up with us again. So that was interesting. And then like obviously Peridot is with them for like the next episode where they go to the kindergarten. That episode I thought was a bit of wasted potential. I thought it had a lot of potential as an episode to have this group, which usually in the past has worked well together. I just thought the plot of it was a bit weird, of just like, oh, we're trying to make flowers grow here, and then it turns out that the flower was a monster in the end, and it's just about kind of giving Peridot like hope again, and it was okay, fine. It is what it is. It's not particularly amazing or anything like that. Sadie throughout the episode, I suppose, had a good moment in one of the previous episodes where she did criticize the mayor for not realizing that Lars was missing. And then her main episode, Sadie Killer, obviously the result is that she quits her job. Not sure what that means for the donut shop, but obviously for her and just, I suppose, her health in a way, she chose to leave the job and do more fun things and have friends and have time to, I suppose, deal with what's happened to Lars and talk to other people who, I suppose the cool kids actually realize that they get along more with Sadie in this episode, in that they discover her love of like obscure kind of horror movies, and she's going to join the band, which is a cool little interesting thing. I thought it was in a way the only problem with it was just that like in the middle of all this stuff we had this like very kind of just off to the side fillery kind of episode of just like we kind of forget about everything to just have this band episode, but it did what it needed to do. I almost felt it should have been even a little bit longer, or they should have used their time a bit better and actually like shown a performance at the end to show like just here's a result of the episode. But they didn't choose to do that, which was, overall fine. But I think that's more or less everything I have to say about it. Oh, sorry. The big Pearl moment, I suppose, where everyone is kind of like on the vacation, like well, what are we going to say to Steven? What do we do? Because they all think it's like him struggling to deal with what happened with the diamonds and the trial and stuff like that, when it turns out that it's actually just the issue with Connie, which I like that Greg was constantly like, I don't know about this gem stuff. You guys go talk to him. I don't know what to say to him. And then the second he hears it's just kind of like a girl trouble, he's just like, I know exactly what to do, and it's straight over to Steven. So that was a fun little moment, and it was a nice conversation between the two of them, without being like overly kind of crazy, like one of the best scenes ever type thing. So there's that, and then obviously before that, the Pearl scene where she goes over to talk to him was interesting because she's just about to say something pretty important and emotional and stops herself from doing it. And obviously one of the big theories out there is that Pearl was in fact the one who killed Pink Diamond, and that sort of seems like what it is, in that I think they all know that Steven has some weird feelings about, potentially like he's put on trial for killing Pink Diamond, and seems to be accepting it, and that like without really thinking too much about like evidence or like, oh, my mom couldn't have done this, he's kind of just accepting it because he's been told that that's what's happened. Pearl seems to be holding something back, and there's a lot there that still has to come out. So that seems like really interesting whenever they decide to commit to doing that. It just, I think overall about these episodes, feels like we're still in this position where the plot, we never know when the plot's going to actually happen. They constantly write this show in a way where like they have like big moment, and then they always reset it back to they're in Beach City, here's time for a bunch of Beach City episodes to happen, and then let's get back into the plot. And it just seems to like constantly repeat itself, that there's no continuity, when I think that's what the show really needs. And when I say continuity, it's not just like, oh, the show links together across its episodes. It's just like when you end off on a big moment, like continue that big moment. Don't just like leave it as like a thing in the past and like, oh, we'll get to that in like a season. Immediately continue on from that. And I think we need less Beach City citizens focused episodes, and we need to get back into the diamond stuff, because I think the show's biggest problem in the last couple of seasons has been trying to balance what the writers seem to want to do, which is at the same time have a very like single episode, episodic type thing, where it's we can just have a random Beach City citizen and Steven deals with a problem with that citizen, and have it be that show. But they also want to have this kind of more lore heavy, fantasy, sci-fi type thing with the gems, homeworld, the secrets about Steven and his mother and who killed Pink Diamond and stuff like that. But they never know how to balance it right, because it's two very different shows. One is like this continuity driven, like plot heavy, drama action kind of type show. The other is this very kind of down to earth, just like emotions, dealing with characters, and they can't seem to really do them at the same time all that well. It feels like they have to stop one to start the other, and then I think if they ever tried to incorporate the two of them, I think you'd almost frustrate people, because I don't think people really want to see some of these very minor characters like Onion and so on, the guy who owns the all those minor characters, Mr. Smiley and stuff like that. I don't think we want to see those characters like be heavily involved in like the homeworld war or whatever's going to happen here. We kind of just want to have our main characters explore that sort of stuff. So I think most people who've been invested in the show have been wanting like a move away from Beach City for like the main plot. It's not always going to be like, oh, we've moved away for a few episodes, but like, no, the premise of the series kind of requires us to move away, or that we maybe remain on Earth, but it's taken over in such a way where like the Beach City citizens, like it doesn't make any sense to focus on them as characters. So I still feel like that is a problem with the series. I think initially we thought with like season 5 was going to be the last season, but I don't think that's been confirmed. So we still have all of this season, and then whatever they decide to do after that going forward. But I think I'm almost done like wanting and like kind of requesting that the show make a change, because at this point I don't think it is. I think they're just going to continue on with this format and the way it is, and all I can do is hope that upcoming episodes are more plot focused. And that's kind of where I am with the show. Of like, I think the hiatus has really, I think, made it clear to me that when this show does really good episodes, I like it. Otherwise, it's just that show I watch, and I'll do reviews for it. And in a way, I'm kind of like, I'm glad that most of the time with this show they release it in huge batches of episodes, because if I started reviewing this show from the beginning and I had to do it like one episode at a time, I think I probably would have like fell out of it like really, really quickly. So I think right now, like, the only thing really keeping me invested in the show is that they do release the episodes in these huge groups of episodes. So hopefully they continue to do that, and it's a bit more, the schedule becomes a little bit clearer, and it's not just a mystery until they randomly reveal at the Comic-Con that, oh, we're back. So that's my basic thoughts on these episodes. Fun, entertaining, some good stuff. I think the Peridot Lapis stuff is probably set up well to have some sort of a good resolution down the line. The Steven and Connie stuff, while I didn't like that they felt the need to spread it out and kind of have that be the main plot point over this many episodes, I felt at the very least the resolution scene between them was well done, and felt like it was kind of taking their relationship to kind of maybe not a new level, but like it feels kind of like the two characters are a little bit more mature now. It kind of feels like they've moved in a way from just being like kids in a way with each other, and they kind of are more like teens now. So hopefully they acknowledge that. I still kind of feel deep down that they probably at some point need to actually like show Steven aging at some point. I get that they've kind of made that a plot point that he doesn't seem to age and is stuck kind of the way he looks right now. I think they probably should just commit at some point to having it be like he actually looks his age going forward. Because that joke, I think, is worn a bit thin. You could still have him look as he does, more or less, but still show that he's like taller or something like that. Just because, like, I think it's one of those weird like points that they've made that just is like, what's the aim here really? Like, does it really matter if like you show him aging or not? Unless they're gonna have some like tragic reveal down the line or something like that. So yeah, that's more or less my thoughts on these episodes. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts were. And I suppose if you know what the schedule is like for upcoming episodes, please let me know that as well, because I had to have someone in my YouTube comments tell me that these episodes were even out, because I just completely lost track of where this show was. So let me know that stuff. But yeah, it's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.